All right, everyone, it turns out Vermont Issues, episode 73, the Vermont Democratic Party has basically run out of money, and this has actually been a problem for some months prior. Normally, the Democrats in this state, they don't really have to do much in the way of fundraising. They're like, oh, yeah, a little old lady donated $10, that'll get us through the month, because they don't really have any significant resistance from the Republicans, because there's a supermajority of Democrats in the House and Senate, I believe has been since the late 1990s. The governor's seat is something, it tends to be, in Vermont, it's literally a pendulum. We get a liberal Republican, and then we get a kind of quasi-conservative Democrat, and it just swings back and forth. It's like almost a mini inversion, really, of national politics. Now, that's why Vermont, it's far blue. But other than like weed and a few other things, it's not quite as blue as some people suspect. There is still resistance to excessive taxation. Even Shumlin abandoned single payer. Bernie would have liked it, but Shumlin showed remarkable restraint at the time by not bankrupting the state. But the Democratic Party here does have a problem with being bankrupt. They have no money apparently now. And can barely afford to pay their bills. I think the article lists they need to raise like $20,000 in the next month just to keep the lights on. And this is a party that has mostly total control. And I can tell you what I think is happening here. And the article doesn't state this, but I have a sneaking suspicion it's because people have become so embittered by politics that they're not really willing to donate to political causes so much as they have in the past. Now, for the Republicans, because there are so few of them, and because they're used to operating on a shoestring budget, and because perhaps the Republicans, at least some of them, not necessarily the John McCains, but some of them have better ways of managing other people's money, and the Democrats typically don't. They're not being hurt quite so much by the lack of donations that we're seeing in politics. We saw in this last campaign, Trump ran with a skeleton crew, to the point at which they were axing people towards the end. People thought it was basically an admission of defeat. I'm like, no, you don't understand how Trump works, and he's self-funding. He's being outraised and outspent by 10 times, still manages to win. The Republicans can, by the way, take back the state of Vermont. They're just going to have to shift around what issues they talk about. There is some bad blood between the Republican Party and certain voting blocs within the country. The same is true of the Democrats. The difference is, there are a handful now of Republicans that are capable of actually healing those wounds. I don't see any Democrats that have really shifted away from the traditional Democratic platform. The only exception is there's a schismatic tendency now, which means that the left-wing fiscal and social causes are now separate from the corporate suck-off sort of causes of the neoliberals. That's actually making the party even weaker. So there's a reason that people aren't donating. I think people have a tendency to look at like a Hillary Clinton or a Trump, someone on the major national stage, and they presume that other people within the party must be kind of in lockstep with that. It takes quite a bit of campaigning not to be. So when people see the Hillary Clintons gargling the bank cash and the Goldman Sachs cash, when they see that she's not a fit candidate, when she loses and now she's completely disgraced, and she's alienating herself from her remaining fans at a rapid pace now. That reflects poorly on the Democratic Party. This problem will probably be prevalent elsewhere, too. The Democrats at first, when Trump won, they were like, oh, we're all gung-ho for the midterms, it's going to be great, we're going to wipe the floor with these evil Nazi Republicans. I don't think so. I think you're actually going to be the ones that suffer, because you've got, again, the same problem of public trust. WikiLeaks did damage to your party's image, deservingly, because quite clearly you're dishonest. People in general are embittered by politics. This isn't just, people who are Democrats. A lot of Republicans are too. Trump's fans are bitter towards some members of Congress. Some of their fans are bitter towards Trump, think Trump is destroying the party. There's a lot of political tension right now. Why would a person, unless they're a hyper-partisan, and those are less prevalent. Here in Vermont, it was mainly ideological for a long time. Why, unless they were a hyper-partisan, would they be donating to anyone at this point? Maybe they donate to a third party. Maybe there'll be an upstart green or libertarian movement within the state. And this state is fertile ground for such things, by the way. Third party can't. You look at Bernie Sanders. He's run as an independent in every campaign other than for the presidency over time. He's never been registered as a Democrat. He still keeps winning and winning. He wins Because once he got his foot in the door as the mayor of Burlington, he had the name recognition, he ran for an empty spot, he managed to get it, people liked his policies, for better or for worse. Now here we are, decades later. So here in Vermont, you could see such a thing. So the Democratic Party here is basically broke. Not a huge surprise. I think it's a surprise to them, though. They're used to operating on a higher budget than their Republican counterparts. So when everyone feels the pinch, the Republicans are like, yeah, but we were barely making any money anyway to fund our campaigns. Here in Vermont, though, if you're running for a local office, you can just walk around. You don't need the campaign bus, certainly. You don't need a lot of staff. You don't need to do robocalls. You don't even need ads on TV. A lot of the stuff that's present in a big state, a big urban state, where you can't do that, is absent here. Small town America, even Burlington's, basically small town America, just a mild metro area. If you're running within a county, how big is the county? It's not particularly large. You just use your own personal vehicle. You take out a couple $100 to cover some gas mileage, print up some signs. Yeah, you're golden. You can win that race. If you're personable, if you have good ideas. And also in Vermont, we're slightly sheltered from the urban style of politicking, like the mudslinging and all of that stuff. We have less of that in this state. The most vicious political ads we see on TV are the result of us sharing airtime actually with upstate New York and New Hampshire. So you see like some candidate for the governorship in New Hampshire, or somebody who's running up in the Adirondacks over in New York, their campaign ads actually play here in Vermont. So we get inundated because we overlap with New Hampshire. Big swing state, we get all the ads. I saw 12 different Hillary Clinton ads. It's like she wouldn't have independently targeted Vermont. She'd been like, well, I'm going to win the state anyway. She would have pulled a Wisconsin here. And maybe ended up losing to Bernie Sanders in a write-in ballot. It would have been great. But the Democratic Party now, he gets to suffer here too. Also, it doesn't help that a lot of Vermonters simply don't have the money to donate. Not going to donate to a political cause. I know I wouldn't. It's like, why would I want to donate to some random politician? Maybe throw him $5 to the Libertarian Party or something as a joke. But why would I want to fund, some major political campaign? Much less for a local office. They don't need our money. It's not necessary. It's not like the person's likely to actually voice the same opinions I have anyway. Generally speaking, whether they're a Republican or a Democrat or part of a third party seems to make no difference. Like if I had funded the Libertarian Party, I would have been shooting myself in the foot because, remember, after a couple of months of campaigning in a sane fashion, they went full open borders and said, oh, we're basically going to be like Hillary Clinton on steroids, other than we don't care if you own guns. Oh, what's the point? It would have been dumb for me to donate to him, so I'm glad that I chose not to. I was originally going to donate to the Johnson campaign, and then Johnson went crazy, so that didn't help either. So congrats to the Democrats. In one of the most democratic states, you're actually managing to go bankrupt as a party because you can't get anybody to give you any money. Maybe it's because people are used to now the Democratic Party wanting more of their money anyway, to throw it at random social causes that they think to be important, all of which are bureaucratically strangled. There's a bureaucrat parasitizing that money and making most of it anyway. It's just like a lot of these charities to the third world. You say, oh, you can provide like food for this starving orphan for only $1 a day. Well, yeah, they're not getting $1 a day though. They're getting like a penny a day. The other 99 cents is going straight into the pocket of some relief worker, some lawyer, some accountant, some CEO who runs the company and takes most of the money. Why the hell would I want to give you my money? It's like the Red Cross and their shit down in Haiti. That money's not trickling down to the people. It's funny. And the same people who say, trickle-down economics, it's so evil and bad. They want to centralize your funds for every other purpose. They want to centralize your funds to distribute in some social program or to some bureau to give relief to people, or they want you to donate to some charity that supposedly does a good job. It never does. Nobody's ever benefited by them. I don't know what point there is to any of these things anymore. There's no point at all. It's dumb. That's about all. Peace out.